Welcome to the deep dive, the place where we try to cut through the noise and get straight to what matters, giving you those, useful knowledge nuggets you can actually put to work.
Hmm.
Today, we're diving headfirst into a challenge that, honestly, I know so many of you grapple with. It's this frustration that can feel really isolating, but it's actually super common.
It really is.
I'm talking about that moment. You understand English perfectly, you can binge watch shows, no subtitles needed, follow complex chats, maybe even get the jokes in a podcast like this one.
Right.
But then, when it's your turn to speak, it's like, boom, mental fog rolls in, the words just kind of vanish. Sound familiar?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you are absolutely not alone in this. Our insights for this deep dive come from some really helpful notes on bridging the English understanding speaking gap, and also expert thoughts from Learn English with designer JK.
Good stuff there.
Our mission today: let's unpack why this frustrating gap exists, and more importantly, arm you with real practical strategies to bridge it. Okay, let's unpack this.
What's truly fascinating here, and I think often overlooked, is just the emotional side of this understanding speaking gap. It's heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not just a language thing. It can cause real self-doubt. People start questioning their progress, even their intelligence, despite all the hard work they've obviously put in.
Mm-hmm.
They know the language, they feel it inside, but getting it out fluently feels just out of reach. So it's really crucial right from the start to get that understanding and speaking are fundamentally different skills.
Okay. Different skills.
Totally different. They need different approaches. Think of it like this, okay? Understanding English. That's like filling your car's tank with gas.
Okay. Input.
Exactly. You're absorbing, building up that reservoir of knowledge. But speaking, that's actually driving the car.
Ah, okay. The action part.
Right. You can have a full tank, all that knowledge ready to go, but if you never actually get behind the wheel and, start driving, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
It's an active output. It needs different muscles, different practice, and yeah, honestly, a bit of bravery to just engage.
That analogy, the filling the tank versus driving the car, that really hits home.
Yeah.
Because that is exactly the main problem our source material points out. Learners can just soak up English content, YouTube, Netflix, whatever, effortlessly.
Right.
But then the mic turns on, or a native speaker just asks a simple question, and wham, mental block slams down hard.
Mm-hmm. Total freeze.
Yeah, it's not just forgetting a word here or there. It's like a complete freeze up, feeling overwhelmed, or suddenly just not being able to string a simple sentence together.
That's so frustrating.
It is. It's this disconnect that feels awful, leaves you thinking, but I know this stuff, so what's really going on? What's behind this common frustrating thing? Let's peel back the layers. Knowing the why is half the battle, right?
Absolutely. Understanding the why gives us the power to actually tackle the how. And there are several core reasons this disconnect happens, even for really dedicated learners.
Okay.
First, and this is probably the biggest one, is simply a lack of active speaking practice.
Just not doing it enough.
Exactly. So many learners spend hours and hours on input, reading, listening, watching. And that's great. It's invaluable for comprehension, but it's mostly passive.
Right. You're just taking it in.
You're receiving, not producing. It's just like that analogy from the source material. It's like watching tons of swimming videos, studying the strokes, analyzing technique, and thinking you'll just jump in the pool and swim like Michael Phelps. But until you actually jump in the water and start moving your arms and legs, you haven't really learned to swim.
Makes sense.
Speaking is a physical, active skill. It demands direct, consistent practice. Not just watching. You just can't master it by only observing.
That makes perfect sense. We consume so much, thinking exposure alone will somehow magically make us fluent speakers.
Okay, so lack of practice is huge. But what about that awful feeling, that dread right before you have to speak?
Yeah.
I remember trying to order coffee in Paris, totally different language, but same feeling. Knew the words, mind went blank. Is there something in the sources about managing that specific anxiety beyond just be brave?
Oh, that anxiety is incredibly common. And it brings us right to the second major barrier, this pervasive fear of making mistakes.
Yeah, the big one.
It's a huge psychological hurdle. Just the thought of speaking incorrectly, sounding silly, or, someone not understanding you, that can completely paralyze a learner, even if their mental tank is full of vocabulary. But the truth is, and the source puts this so well, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be brave enough to try.
That's powerful.
It really is. It's a fundamental mindset shift. Mistakes aren't failures. They're actually an essential part of learning. Think of them like data points.
They show you exactly where you need to focus. What needs work? Every single native speaker made countless mistakes learning their first language.
Sure.
We still make them. You got to embrace mistakes as guides, not roadblocks.
Okay, so practice more and don't be afraid to mess up. Got it. What else?
Thirdly, there's a common confusion about vocabulary versus fluency.
Oh, interesting. Aren't they linked?
They're related, sure, but not the same thing. Many learners think if I just learn thousands of words, I'll automatically be fluent.
Right. Sounds logical.
It does, but it doesn't quite work that way. You might know tons of impressive words, yeah, but that knowledge doesn't automatically mean you can grab them and use them smoothly in a real-time conversation.
Ah, okay. Retrieval.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fluency isn't really about using complex, fancy words perfectly. It's more about being able to use even simpler words quickly, naturally, confidently to get your point across and keep the conversation flowing.
So flow over complexity.
Precisely. It's about the ability to keep things moving, not necessarily showing off how many big words you know. Think about it. Being able to say, I am happy, easily, is way more fluent than struggling for 10 seconds to remember, I am experiencing profound euphoria. Simpler is often more fluent.
Gotcha.
Makes sense. And finally, a really common culprit, one that slows down so many learners. Your brain is constantly translating.
Oof. Yeah, I can see that.
It's a deeply ingrained habit for many. You think in your native language first, build the sentence there, and then try to translate it word for word into English.
Right, that little delay.
It's more than a delay, that internal translation process. It adds huge pauses, causes hesitation, leads to confusion, sometimes really awkward phrasing because languages just don't map one-to-one.
Yeah.
It's like having this slow, inefficient middleman handling every single thought before it becomes speech. It just gums up the works.
So what's the fix for that one?
The key solution, straight from our notes, for breaking that translation habit is powerful. You need to start thinking in simple English sentences.
Ah, bypass the middleman.
Exactly.
Mm.
Which, raises the important question. If these are the main reasons for the gap, how do we actively start bridging it? How do we start driving that car?
Okay, you've laid out the why so clearly, and honestly, it just resonates. That translation habit, especially, wow, I can see how that would be a massive bottleneck. So now, the million-dollar question, like you said, the how. The sources promise actionable solutions. Is it really just about practicing more, or are there like clever psychological tricks too? Because I know our listeners are hungry for those practical steps they can take, like today, to start driving that English car. So what does this all mean for someone listening right now trying to beat this?
It means there are absolutely concrete, powerful steps you can start taking right now to shift from just understanding passively to actually speaking actively and fluently.
Yeah, good.
And yes, it involves practice, but it's targeted practice. Practice designed to tackle those specific hurdles we just talked about.
Right, smart practice.
Exactly. First, and maybe the most crucial, practice speaking daily. Daily.
Okay.
And look, this doesn't have to be some huge formal thing. You don't need a tutor booked every day, though that's great too. Even just 5 minutes a day can make a massive difference in building that muscle memory and, importantly, confidence.
5 minutes. Really?
Absolutely. Think about it. When you're getting ready in the morning, instead of just thinking, I need coffee, try actually saying it out loud to yourself. Okay, I'm grinding the beans now. I'm pouring the water into the machine.
Narrating your life.
Sort of. Or, when you walk outside, describe what you see out loud. The sky is kind of cloudy today. Trees are green. There's a dog barking over there.
Yeah.
You could even record your voice on your phone. Listen back later. It might feel a little weird at first,
Yeah, maybe a little.
but it powerfully trains your brain and your mouth to produce English sentences automatically. It helps bypass that translation step and build rapid recall. You'll be amazed how much it helps.
Okay, daily self-talk or recording. What's next?
Second, actively look for speaking groups or language exchanges.
Practicing with real people.
Yes, this gives you a low-stakes, supportive place to practice. Lots are online now, some are even free. And the great thing about these groups is that mistakes aren't just accepted, they're kind of expected. It's part of learning.
Right, everyone's in the same boat.
Exactly. It's a safe space to stumble, get corrected gently, and build confidence through real interaction. You get real-time feedback, learn to navigate natural conversation flow.
That makes sense. Remove some pressure.
Definitely. Third, here's a powerful technique that bridges listening and speaking. Repeat out loud.
Okay, how does that work?
When you're listening to English podcasts, audiobooks, maybe even a designer JK video on YouTube, don't just listen passively. Hear a phrase or a sentence you like. Hit pause. Then repeat exactly what you heard. Out loud.
Mimicking them.
Yes. Focus really hard on imitating the native speaker's rhythm, their intonation, the music of the language, and their pronunciation. This trains your mouth and brain to make the sounds and patterns feel natural, less foreign, more automatic. It's building phonetic muscle memory.
I like that. Phonetic muscle memory.
Building right on that idea is the shadowing technique.
Shadowing.
Yeah, it's like repeating out loud, but more
Okay.
advanced. With shadowing, you don't pause. You listen to a native speaker and try to speak at the exact same time as them.
Whoa, okay. That sounds challenging.
It can be at first. You try to mimic their pace, their tone, their pronunciation as closely as you possibly can, almost like you're their vocal shadow or echo. Start with short bits, then get longer. It's incredibly effective for internalizing the natural flow, the speed, the rhythm of spoken English. It makes your own speech sound much more natural, less hesitant, gets your mouth really used to forming English words smoothly.
Okay, shattering. Intense, but I can see the benefit. And the last one.
And finally, tackling that pesky translation habit head on. The practice of think in English.
Ah, the direct approach.
This one, honestly, might be one of the most transformative habits you can build. You start incorporating it into daily life. Narrate your actions, describe your surroundings, but do it internally or quietly to yourself, completely in English.
Little phrases again.
Start simple. Perfect starting point. I'm getting out of bed, I'm brushing my teeth, walking to the kitchen, making coffee.
Yeah.
Then, as you get comfortable, describe more complex thoughts or feelings. This trains your brain to connect ideas directly to English words,
Bypassing the translation.
completely bypassing the native language step. It leads to much more fluid, natural speech. You're basically creating this little English bubble inside your mind.
Those are incredibly practical, really actionable steps. Anyone feeling stuck can start those today. So pulling it all together, the main takeaway from this deep dive seems crystal clear. Listening is input, speaking is output.
That's the core of it.
And while, consuming English is vital for understanding, for filling that gas tank, to actually improve your speaking, to drive that car, you have to actively use the language.
No way around it.
You can't just passively understand and hope to magically speak fluently. So please don't fall into that trap of waiting until you feel ready or perfect.
That day never comes.
Right. That perfect moment almost never arrives. Start now, today. Even if it's slow, even if it feels awkward or hard at first. That's exactly where the real progress kicks in. Every single attempt, no matter how small it feels, it counts.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, just remember, every single word you manage to speak, every hesitant phrase you try, every brave attempt you make, that is a real, tangible step forward on your journey. Each attempt, doesn't matter how small or imperfect, it builds momentum, it builds confidence, and it strengthens that crucial neural pathway for fluency. You really don't need to speak perfectly.
Yeah.
You just need to speak.
Powerful words. Definitely something to remember as you, our listener, go on this exciting, sometimes challenging, but ultimately really rewarding journey. We absolutely want to give a huge thank you to designer JK for providing the foundational insights and those brilliant strategies we got to explore today.
Great resource.
If this deep dive helped you understand your own English-speaking journey a bit better, maybe feel more empowered, please consider supporting designer JK's amazing work.
Yeah, definitely check them out.
You can do that easily, like this deep dive. Leave us a comment, share it with someone else you know who's learning English and maybe facing this same struggle. And most importantly, go subscribe to Designer JK's YouTube channel. You'll find even more weekly tips and really practical English practice there.
Good call.
Remember, you're not alone in this journey, and we're always here to help you dive deeper. Thanks so much for joining us on the deep dive, and we'll catch you next time.